Do you ever feel like you're failing at life and you wish that there was something you could do that would help you to get some perspective? Yeah, me too. Let's talk about that. So, what is the thing that I have discovered? Well, this might be a bit long, so bear with me here because I think you might get some value from this. As I posted this morning in a tweet, if I'm struggling with perspective in life and feeling like I failed because I didn't get this done or that done or the other thing, all I need to do is remember that I'm sober today. Simple, huh? Now the challenge comes from being in the privileged position of having multiple years of sobriety, which I know is not an easy thing to get. It took me a while. And I'm not talking about the multiple years, I'm talking about the journey of going from deciding I wanted sobriety actually to getting it. That was a difficult process and it took years. It really did. My first attempt at finding sobriety was in 2000 when my wife came to visit me in Kazakhstan, and she got to see exactly what my drinking looked like. Now, I had mentioned it to her in an email, and I know this because I've kept a bunch of emails and put them together in my journal. I use Day One, which I really recommend as a journaling app. It's fantastic. So I know that alcoholism was on my mind, but I didn't get to AA for the first time until my wife came to visit me. She saw what my drinking was like, in particular on one occasion when my landlady had invited us round for dinner. So I was renting a flat in Almaty, Kazakhstan. I'd been round to my landlady's a few times to, bukhat, as they say in Russian. When my wife was coming to visit, they were excited to meet her and they put on a big spread, Soviet style, with zakouski, snacks, shots, vodka, whiskey, beer, wine, all the good stuff. I drank myself into blackout and my wife had to struggle to get me home that night in a dark city that to her was unfamiliar and, frankly, a little scary. And then she was like, okay, you need to sort this out. So that was a moment, and that's when I first began the journey of trying to find and hold on to sobriety. So that was in 2000. My last drink was October 2005. So yeah, 5 years. In fact, a little over 5 years if we're counting it in months. That's how long it took me. So now, I've got 15 years. 15 years of sobriety, which, it's an achievement. I'm not going to belittle that and say it's nothing, because I know it's not nothing, but I'm at the stage now where I no longer feel that I need to drink. It doesn't, I won't say it doesn't enter my head, because it does, particularly in TV shows when I watch people, especially drinking shots. We watched a movie last night, in fact, with Bill Nye and Emily Blunt, and they were drinking shots and wine. I was like, it's still there in my head, but the psychic connection between the act of drinking and the idea of drinking has been broken. And this is what they talk about in Alcoholics Anonymous, the psychic shift, or what do they call it? A psychic transformation, something like that. So I've had that, which leads to complacency in some ways, and also the fact that the thing that made me feel that I wanted to drink in the first place was the whole idea of feeling uncomfortable in my own skin and that I don't fit in life and all of that fear-driven stuff. That's all still there. And I'm no longer using alcohol or drugs in fact, anymore, because that was a thing for a while. I'm using neither of those things to deal with the fear. So what does that leave? Well, it can leave some pretty dark days, if I'm honest. It can lead to all sorts of self-doubt. Imposter syndrome's a big one. The whole 9 yards, as they say. Do you know what I'm talking about? So how do I deal with that in day-to-day life? Well, at the moment, I'm making content, doing this. I'm sharing with you. This is a phenomenal discovery. I get to explore my thoughts. I get to build something in public. That takes some courage to do. For those of you that have been following my channel for a little while, you'll know that my word for the year is courage. And that has proven to be a really good choice. Courage is something that I am leaning into this year. Building a business and coaching, which has surprised me more than I would ever have imagined, by which I mean I'm absolutely loving it. It's so energizing, and I think that this is kind of part of my why, and this is one of the things I've been working on this year, is how to figure out what my why is, what makes me want to get out of bed in the morning. What is it? What's the one thing I would do if money were no object? If I could do anything I wanted, what would that look like? And at the moment it's coaching other people, because it energizes me and puts me in a good place and gives me perspective in life. It's writing, it's sharing my journey, it's creating. I love creating content. I love camera gear, I love making videos, I love hitting record and just talking into the camera. I'm beginning to enjoy editing. I'm getting a bit better at it now. Hopefully that will show in this video. And it's been a really good weekend in terms of thinking about my process. I've had some help, shall we say, from some good friends of mine who studied with me on the Part-Time YouTuber Academy. And one of the things I've been thinking about is the journey that I want to take you on, and the journey that I want to be on myself in terms of content creation. And I'm a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk's content. He helped me a lot, particularly in 2018 when I was starting out making vlogs, and when I was stuck in a business that I didn't think I was going to be able to sell, which thankfully I have since sold. And one of the things that Gary says is, you do you. And it's one of those things like you get in the walls in Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. It's one of these little sayings that used to bug me. Let go, let God. You are not alone. These kinds of things that at first the cynic in me was like, that's not for me. But the more I practice recovery, sobriety, creation, spirituality, the more I come to understand that these little sayings are actually a distillation of my beliefs and what I want my beliefs to be. So, sitting in conference with my two friends at the weekend, having them give me their ideas as to how I might take my channel forward, really got me thinking. And the imposter syndrome, the fear-driven guy in me was like, right, whatever they said, that's what I have to do. Because they know, how can I possibly know? A weekend of reflection has led me to this conclusion, which is that I do me. Building in public is something that is helping me immeasurably. It allows me to sit down and process my thoughts in public, which I don't know if it's to do with accountability. That might be part of it. It's maybe just leaning into the fear. And I'm a big fan of authentic, vulnerable storytelling. That's the kind of content that draws me in and engages me. And I had a really nice experiment last night with my wife. This whole crisis of what we call it, creative crisis, this whole process began because I watched a video by one of the other part-time YouTuber Academy cohort 2 pupils, and it was called something like making content about why I'm dead, or I should really have looked this up, shouldn't I? But I'll put it in the thing and you can, is it up here? It's up here, isn't it? There's the thing. Check it out. Now this guy's content really inspired me, and it is the kind of content that I want to make. It's storytelling, supported by really good editing and really good B-roll. So that inspired this whole process of thinking about the direction I want to take my channel in, which led to these discussions, which led to this reflection, etc, etc, etc. I had a good chat with my wife last night about this, and she's not particularly involved in my channel. She doesn't watch my content. It's not for her, okay? That's fine. But I showed her one of Mike's videos. I showed her, in fact, that video that I just linked to. And she was like, no, that's not for me. She didn't like it at all. And that led me to understand that YouTube, or creativity in general, is for everybody. YouTube has such a broad range of content. There's something there for everyone. Which got me thinking, there's somebody out there looking for what I'm making. Which started to give me confidence in the fact that I do me, and this morning I did some writing about it. I sent out a newsletter, which you can read if you subscribe at camscampbell.com. That was a good process, just writing that out in a public newsletter / blog post. That was incredibly helpful. And I've come to the conclusion that doing this kind of thing, riffing into the camera extemporaneously, is something that I enjoy, something that's helpful to me, and it's something that I think has value to other people. When I started to think about how I would go about building story-based, B-roll heavy, documentary style content, the kind that I'm aspiring to make, analysis paralysis crept in. And I started thinking, how do I even start with something like that? And the danger is that I then stop my weekly cadence, which I've kept going since the beginning of November, which I'm really pleased about and surprised. And I don't want that to stop. So in order for that not to stop, the conclusion I've come to is that I continue to do it because it's helpful. I mean, I feel like I'm repeating myself here, so I won't. This is where last year's word comes into play, which is patience. I need to start exercising patience and continuing to show up, right? Don't let the fear get in the way of keeping going. And that's where these extemporaneous talking head videos are really going to help me to stay in the game. And I feel that it might be helpful for you as well. I know that there are people out there who are struggling with the same sorts of fears that I struggle with. And I know that because I've met a lot of them in Part-Time YouTuber Academy. So I hope this is helpful to you. I hope that when you're struggling with perspective and fear, you can find something that gets you back in the game. So for me, it's going to be gratitude about sobriety. Because if I wake up sober, I'm already winning that day. There's nothing else that life can throw at me that day that can take that away, unless I pick up a drink, which I have no intention of doing today. So if I can keep that in my mind, I should not lose perspective. And even if I do begin to lose it, I think I can claw my way back by thinking about gratitude for my sobriety. I hope this has been valuable and helpful. If it has, I would love it if you would consider subscribing to my channel, because I'm in this for the long haul. And if you resonate with this content, I would love you to stick around. That would help me out a lot. Give the video a like if you found value in it, and pop a comment down below. Let me know what you do when you're struggling to find perspective with your day. What do you think about that helps you to get through that fear? Thanks for watching, and remember, you're not alone. And I'm going to play you out with a live guitar.